Now we have Emily Hennessy from UK.
The day had been epic. The ocean of milk had been churned, and now it glistened as thick as ghee under the full moon. There were 3 brothers that sat under the shimmering stars that night, gazing out across the ocean. There was white-bearded Brahma, blue-skinned Vishnu, and Shiva, with hair so thick and wild it leapt from his head like the branches of this tree. Vishnu turned to his brothers and said, "It is time for us to let our heart's desires be known." And Vishnu gazed out across the sea and made his wish. From the heart of the ocean, the butter opened up, revealing a beautiful flower. It hovered towards the brothers. The petals opened wide, and inside sat a beautiful, smiling goddess. Vishnu climbed into the flower, the petals closed around them, and the flower was gone. Brahma made his wish next. And from the heart of the ocean came a swan as white as his beard. And sitting on the back, a goddess playing the sitar. Well, Brahma climbed onto the back of the swan, and they were gone. Shiva made his wish and waited. We waited all through the night. Good question. What happened? What happened was nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing. He waited until the sun rose the next morning. And then he realized that his heart's desire was not to be found here, but she must be somewhere.
Namaste. Good evening. I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here. Lady Margaret was fine. Lady Margaret was fair, beautiful, intelligent, rich, and she was lucky unlucky. Lady Margaret was the oldest of 7 children to a lord and lady of the English squirearchy. So she had title and she had money in addition to everything else. And she had 6 younger brothers, but because she was the oldest, she was in charge. So that's the lucky part. The unlucky part was the birth of her youngest brother was the death of her mother. And only a few years after that happened, her father was thrown from his horse and he died too, which means that when she was only quite a young woman, Lady Margaret had no mother and no father. But in a strange way, this was also her I hate to say good fortune, but in a way it was. Lady Margaret watched as all the friends, all the girls that she grew up with when they got to about 13, 14, they were married off, they were betrothed, they were engaged, and soon they had children. And some of them were happy, but some of them were not. Lady Margaret, because she had no father to say, marry this man, or marry whomever I say when I say, she had more freedom than a woman of her time was expected to have. She had much more freedom. And so as she grew, and at first it was embarrassing. She'd be at a dance and she loved to dance. And then men would kind of go all gooey and silly and start saying silly things, and then they'd stammer out they wanted her to marry them. Well, the first time this happened, she was so shocked, it took her a long time to say no. But that was the only thing that was in her mind, which was absolutely no. Well, after a while, she got quite experienced at saying no, and it was quicker and easier to do. And years passed, and her friends grew into their marriages, and their children began to grow bigger and bigger, and still Lady Margaret was free. But her oldest brother said to her one day, "Come on, Maggie, you've got to marry one day." She said, "I know." "Well, what are you waiting for?" "What am I waiting for? I'm waiting to meet somebody I want to marry. I'm waiting to meet somebody just a bit special. Really? That's very idealistic, said her oldest younger brother. I mean, you and I are old enough to remember Dad, Father. Father was a lovely man. But would he say he was special? I mean, not much there. I mean, are you sure? You don't want to wait too long, Maggie. That's all I'm saying. Listen, I'm all right. I'll let you know when I'm ready. And if I'm not, I won't. All right. So, more time passed, and she still loved to go to the dances. They held lots of dances in her county, and she still loved it. And yes, men went silly, and sometimes they came to the house, but she could deal with it. And then one day, she was at a large society ball. All the great and the good of the county were there. And there were lots of beautiful dances. And of course, Lady Margaret's card was marked for lots of dances. And she saw him. She didn't know who he was, but the moment she knew him, she saw him, she felt that he was someone.
सत्यवान सावित्री का सांग आप लोगों के सामने पेश किया जा रहा है। कहानी का आदर्श आप लोगों को सुनवाया जाएगा। शालव देश के रहने वाले राजा धूम्रसेन, जिनों की रानी का नाम संभवती, राजा रानी आंखों से अंधे थे। उन्हों के राज में एक चौंडा राय वजीर रहते थे। प्रजा से कहा कि है, प्रजा के लोगों, जहां का राजा अंधा होता वहां का इंसाफ भी अंधा होता है। अंधे राजा रानी के महलों में आग लगा दी जाए, ये मर जाएंगे सब, राजपाट हम पर रह जाएगा। कुछ प्रजा राजा के वफादार भी थी। प्रजा ने महाराज से आकर शिकायत की। उधर राजा अपने लड़के सत्यवान को बुलाते हैं और क्या कहते हैं सुनिए। ये सांग आप लोगों के सामने पेश किया है और प्यार से सुनिए। हाँ बेटा सत्यवान, आज शर्म नहीं आ रही होगी बेटा कहते हुए।
सत्यवान हमारी बात सुनिए।
सुनाइए।
हम जो है बेटे अब यहाँ का राजपाट करना नहीं चाहते हैं।
क्या कहा? राजपाट करना नहीं चाहते?
हाँ हाँ बेटे सत्यवान।
क्यों नहीं करना चाहते राजपाट?
हम इसलिए करना नहीं चाहते कि बेटे हम तपोवन का तप करना चाहते हैं।
पिताजी,
हाँ
तपोवन का तप करना चाहते हैं?
हाँ हाँ सत्यवान।
जिसने अपनी गृहस्थ को इज्जत के साथ में निभा दिया, इससे बड़ा कोई तप नहीं है।
फिर भी हमको तप करना चाहते हैं। हमें अब राजपाट में आनंद नहीं आता है।
अच्छा
हाँ
तो सुनवाइए। लो सांग की पहली रागनी सुनिए प्यार से। हाँ जी।
और मेरी बात सुनिए।
हाँ जी।
और तू समझ रहा
ये बात
जिस राज को,
ये वो राज नहीं है, तू समझ रहा जिस
राज को,
दम है आदम है बंदे, इस दम पे विश्वास क्या।
और
दम आवे ना आवे दम की योग बिन तलाश क्या। बान में करोड़ उम्र के सांस भी है सांस क्या। 21,600 के रोजाना अभ्यास क्या। इन सांसों के सिवा तेरे पूंजी भी है पास क्या। सुन बढ़ाओ जरा। आपे में समझ कल आज को जो कल था आज नहीं है, तू तो समझ दूसरी गली सुनिए। रोशनी है जब तक तेरे हृदय में प्राण की, तभी तक है शक्ति तेरे मूल में अपान की, चेष्टा उपान से है नाभि में समान की, समान से है बढ़ती गति, कंठ में उद्यान की ताकत से ताकत, सरव में बयान की, रचना है अजीब कैसी अदृश्य भगवान की। सुने बहरे जिस आवाज को यहाँ वो आवाज नहीं है। तीसरी कली में क्या लिखा है?
बोलिए।
जो किया नहीं बेहदपुर का राज भी कुछ राज नहीं, आदमी कुलमंत क्या है जिसको कुल की लाज नहीं, वो नैने है बेकार जिसमें शर्म और लिहाज नहीं, रूप है बेकार जिसमें नखरा और नाज नहीं, कौन सुने उस शब्द को जिस शब्द में आवाज नहीं, ताज में ना तेज तबका ताज भी कुछ ताज नहीं,
तेज तबका ताज में कुछ ताज नहीं,
तज तप के तेज बिनु ताज को है।